Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Tonight I have the pleasure on a very short notice to have a friend who's coming from Indonesia and he's coming to a conference, the Cambodia Economic Outlook Conference today, where we have the honor to have some your Prime Minister Hun Sen to come and launch the conference, and on a short notice he agreed to come to the show tonight. So welcome, Anangga.
How are you?
Yeah, good. Well, Mr. Anangga Roosdiono is the chair of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, and he's here to come and share with us the experience on how during the ASEAN chairmanship held by Indonesia, where he was very much the person behind organizing the ASEAN Business Investment Summit, which was very successful in Bali, and we're so happy to have him here. So Anangga, please, before we start, I'd like to give you a few minutes just to let the audience know a bit about your background.
Yes, I'm a lawyer by background.
Yes.
I'm still practicing law. I have a law firm.
Okay.
It's Roosdiono and Partners. It's
Yes.
a law firm in Indonesia.
Yes.
We're doing more corporate work.
Okay.
And we have an association
Mhm.
with a Malaysian law firm.
Yes.
Because we have a vision to have a regional law firm. You know,
ASEAN Law Firm, you mean?
an ASEAN law
Yes,
firm.
yes, yes.
You know, it's not usually we're talking about the New York firm, London firm,
Yes.
association,
Yes.
but we want to have an ASEAN firm.
Yes.
And besides that, you know, I'm also a member of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council
Yes.
for Indonesia.
Yes.
And last year, since
Yes.
Indonesia is the chair of ASEAN, then one of my obligations is that we have to be active and to hold the ASEAN Business Investment Summit
Yes.
last November.
Tell us a little bit more how you did it. Because people praise a lot the chairmanship of Indonesia, where on the formal, the government, the diplomacy front, they have succeeded. But foremost in your case here, you've been able to pull huge, gathering of businessmen, investor from the region, from abroad, from different continent, and make it a success.
The important thing is that we have a good coordination and good support
Yes.
from the government
Yes.
and also from the chamber.
Yes.
So in Indonesia we have one chamber, which is Kadin, the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce,
Yes.
and besides that there is what we call the Employer Association, which is APINDO,
Yes.
and these two organizations back up
Yes.
us to organize this investment summit.
Yes.
Besides that, I got also the support
Yes.
from all member countries that they will also bring for their members or
Yes.
the business people to come together, and also that we will invite good speakers from each country.
Yeah. What's the objective of that? Of that summit there?
The important thing at every summit is that we know who we are,
Yes.
and that we can make ASEAN as one
Yes.
unity.
Yes.
And also because this year it is the first time the ASEAN Business Investment Summit
Yes.
includes also the dialogue partners.
Yes.
So that they are interested also that their business people also participate there.
Yes.
That's why at that time there are some of the head of states,
Yes.
like Korea, Australia.
Yeah.
So they come there because they feel it's important.
Yes.
The ASEAN
Yes.
as the place,
the big economic
the big
bloc.
economic.
It's exciting in the sense that we're talking about an ASEAN population of 600 million. Where you're talking about billions of dollar of business transacting. So as a ASEAN bloc, there are so much business opportunity. So basically the investment summit is all about projecting ASEAN as a bloc. to the foreign investor to say come invest in ASEAN country. Is that the case?
It is one of the case,
Yes.
for sure, that we hope that more investment coming into this area.
Yes.
But it's also the objective that the ASEAN business people we got
Yes.
together as a one have one synergy and one force to be the center of the business in the world, in
Yes.
financial and business, and we have to face two big neighbors.
Yes.
India and
Yes.
China.
In China. Ah. Okay.
And if this three power go together,
Yes.
it's really
Yes. Well, I like to say that China is 1.4 billion people, India 1.2 billion. So at least we should have 600 million. It's not so bad. We're number 3, but still, as a bloc, I think it's important that we can attract the interest of the West. Particularly, you see an emerging trend a bit in the fact that, Europe, for example, because of the economic crisis thing, you see them companies start to look at the East, looking at the region.
if from the experience what we have last year, that is first time there's the ASEAN EU forum,
Yes.
business forum. So from that forum, you can see the interest of Europe
Yes.
into the ASEAN.
Yes.
And when we are talking about ASEAN, it's not only Singapore, Thailand, and maybe Malaysia,
Yeah.
and Indonesia, but they're now looking at ASEAN as one force.
Yes.
Cambodia, Myanmar, So and I think with the crisis in Europe and the United States, I mean, they start looking into other places,
Yes.
and ASEAN now is the place that they think is nice and have a safe environment, to conducive environment to do the business.
In terms of projecting ASEAN as an economic bloc where trade flow freely, service flow, labor flow, what would you describe, this ASEAN connectivity? How would you present, to the foreign investor, the attraction to the ASEAN economic community?
Because the between us itself, we have some historical background,
Yes.
and we know we have also the same culture background, and we know each other better.
Yes.
So the connectivity between this country will be much more easier, and we don't have the problem as much as what we see in Europe and
Yes.
whatever. And by having, although they say, how can the economy of ASEAN grow? But we have a very strong SME.
Yes.
And I think through the SME businesses, it will make a strong economy, and investor will look into that.
Yes. So from the investment standpoint, it's clear that they're looking for a critical mass, and we have the critical mass. What's happening with the ASEAN connectivity is really bringing, say in my part of the world, which is this ASEAN, the Cambodia, Vietnam, Laos, Thai, but you also have Indonesia, the Philippines, Singapore, the other peninsula there, there. So the trick is, how do you bring them together, right? How do you actually have a good exchange of people, of skilled people, of non-skilled people also is also important. And from the Cambodia perspective, we see that there's an opportunity for us also to benefit from there, right? Of course, now if you look at the certain raw material, Cambodia have a lot of land, for example. We start to plant a lot of rubber plantation. And in a few years' time, when we start collecting all this latex, how can we bring, Indonesian company who are in plastic or rubber manufacturing, that sort of thing? This value chain is important.
I think that
Yeah.
is very important, because we have that the ASEAN leaders has already
Yes.
agreed on a free flow of goods, free flow of servers,
Yes.
free flow of people. Let's make the flow of between the region itself can be very easily done.
Yes.
And if you're saying about how about you have latex
Yes.
product,
Yes.
I always give the sample of furniture.
Yes.
Because you know, in the distant countries,
Yes.
each country are very famous for its furniture.
Yes.
And but we can say there are some competition sometimes. But actually, if we look, let's say, about one piece of table,
Yes.
it can be made, let's say, started in Indonesia because we have good woods.
Yes.
And we have good crafter.
Yes.
From Indonesia, this unfinished good but already been
Yes.
worked out, sent to maybe Thailand.
Yes.
Or let's say Thailand.
Yes.
They are very good on finishing.
Yes.
Or the table started from Myanmar or from Cambodia.
Yeah.
Because you have also good
Yes.
woods and
Yes.
also good handicraft craft people, and then do it together. And that same thing, after it being worked out in
Yeah.
Thailand, maybe we send it to
Yeah.
Singapore, and
Yes.
Singapore is the one who have to sell it.
Yes.
They have the
Yeah.
the capacity
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
capability to
Yes.
do that, and it will become an ASEAN product,
Product.
but produced from different
Yes.
countries.
And you see, I see this complementarity in the sense that not only from the skill and the production side, but let's say, you know, a lot of people say, oh, but what does Cambodia can put on a table, this sort of thing. And it's clear that in this case, for example, if we take the table, Cambodia is a least developed country. Because we're a least developed country, we have trade preference. Yes. We have good market access at zero duty that we can export to Europe, for example. So a good table, start Indonesia, will come Thailand, and come to Cambodia, and re-export it at duty-free, quota-free. So this is great, you know, in terms of this synergy, you know, how do we, you know, bring together our expertise and everything. But Anangga, what would be the lesson for, as Cambodia chair the ASEAN this year? We're going to do the same investment business summit in Cambodia. What would be the lesson that you can share with us? How can we make this another repeat success as we did in Bali?
The first thing is you have to have the backup
Yes.
from your colleagues.
Yes.
I mean the business people around
Yes.
you. And then you have to have a backup from your government. A real good coordination, because the business summit is always back to back
Yes.
to the leaders summit.
Yes.
So there's a lot of meetings, a lot of things happening,
Yeah.
including the business summit. So
Yes.
we really have to start since day one how to coordinate on dates, places,
Yes.
and then that they agree on who will speak,
Okay.
and whether, because then we will also be contacted by the dialogue partners.
Yes, yes.
Like in our case, Korea contacted us, Russia, Australia, that they want to have
Yeah.
a stage.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Okay.
So by having that, then we have to arrange that. We have to work together with the government how we can arrange
Yes,
this.
yes.
And besides that, for sure, one thing, it is necessary to have sponsorship.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's very important. It will be much more easier for the organizer of the,
Yeah.
this is the ABAC Cambodia,
Yes.
to do that, because it is an expensive
Yes.
exercise.
Yes.
And if you have good sponsor, then it's much more easier.
Yes. Yes.
In our case, at that time, because Indonesia, during the whole 2011, there's a lot of forums, a lot of summits. So
Yeah.
to get sponsorship is not that easy. We have SEA Games, we have
Yes.
all the
Okay.
summits.
Yeah.
So we really have to depend on our friends.
Yes.
We really make chip
Yes.
chip in together.
Yes.
But if Cambodia can get good sponsors, then you can do it. That's very important.
Yes. Yes.
The speakers and also the leaders.
Yes.
And we know where we want to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like last year, Korea is very important. Japan at the time, you know, because it's a new prime minister.
Yes.
Australia really
Yeah.
feel it's very important to be here. And then one of it's very unexpectedly is Brazil.
You're right. They signed the MOU. No.
Yeah, actually there's actually it started with the foreign ministers want to sign an MOU.
Yes.
But the foreign minister of Brazil says, I am bringing the business people.
Yes.
So that they need a stage, a forum.
Yeah, a stage of form, yeah, a
So
counterpart.
that's why we then
Yes.
we include them
Yes.
as
Part
a
of that.
site.
Yes.
The ABAC,
Yes.
the business summit, but it is an ASEAN
Yes.
activity.
Yes. This is great. Anangga, you know, I have to move the subject a bit to something that is, I think, is very dear to you as a lawyer. I'm also a lawyer. The notion that you start before we start the conversation, that this ASEAN, you know, law, I think it's very interesting in the sense that up to now we, you know, Cambodia, Laos, or different country in the region, we used to be so like, we look up, my God, you know, the big international law firm, they can provide all the answer. We are the local law firm, we don't have the expertise. How in the world we're going to compete? How in the world we're going to provide, you know, sort of international standard benchmark legal advice, right, to our client? Maybe we won't be able to compete. All the business go to the big foreign law firm. That's a good idea to have this notion of a network of ASEAN legal practitioner. Please
Because-
tell me more about that.
Yeah, because ASEAN, as we have been talking about, is a big force,
Yes.
and we are very well experienced if we are talking about investment, foreign
Yes.
investment, about new market, stock markets, you
Yes.
know. Then we have all the experience. Like Indonesia, we started from zero in from 1960 when the foreign investment coming in,
Yes.
investors coming in,
Yeah.
and then it started with the stock exchange. You know, besides that, Singapore is there. They are experienced handling this. Malaysia have the experience. So we have gotten the chance and got experience to learn
Yeah.
about all these transactions.
Yes.
And we have to do that according to the universal or global
Yes. Yes.
what you call it, global
Practice.
practice.
Yes.
global
Yeah. Practice.
Now we're good at it.
Yes.
We have all the experience.
Yes.
You personally, I think, have that experience. So if we are now the expertise.
Yes.
And now
Yes.
we know better ASEAN.
Yes.
We know better the region.
Yes.
We know our member countries.
Yes.
You know. So if, let's say, Myanmar
Yes.
has just opened up,
You're right.
Laos
You're right.
wants to start
Yes.
opening up the foreign investment, the stock market,
Yes.
just come to us.
Who best
We're the
is
best.
to look for the neighbor who understand your culture, who understand your environment, who understand your predicament more than anything.
and we know the transaction.
Yes, from experience,
Experience.
from years of experience, you know. And I like to say this idea is very good. You mentioned Myanmar. It's great because, for example, now Myanmar is opening up the country. Foreign investor will go there. And to me, when I was in Myanmar a few weeks ago, I say, look, learn the lesson from the region, from Cambodia, in this case from Indonesia, because we went through that. And we made mistake also. Because in the case of Cambodia in 93, 94, most of our officials who negotiate contract did not understand the legal implication on a certain contractual clause that we signed. But years later, we got subject to a dispute. We are already, no matter how much money we can hire the best lawyer, if your contract from the beginning is all this still like this, unfair, how can we redress like that, right? So this is important that we share the experience that what we went through to our fellow ASEAN brother ASEAN country that's opening up. So I'm very excited about it. I think Laos is the same thing. They're opening slowly, but they're opening. Cambodia is already widely open, but still we need to have access to this backstopping, the quality of practice there.
Yeah, this is something that's why, when I start talking with my country fellow, Dr. Said Ibrahim,
Yes.
we have a vision of an ASEAN law firm
Yes.
because we know more each other. We have the experience,
Yes,
and if we have got more experience, we can share it
yes, yes,
to the others,
Yeah.
and we are better than them.
yes, yes,
We are talking about them,
yeah,
because we know.
yes,
And I think, like if we are talking Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, they know better us,
yeah,
not Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia,
Yeah.
because we speak on the same platform.
exactly.
So I think it will help the region,
Yeah,
and it will be really you can see the synergy,
Yes,
the unity will be there.
yes. I think that same principle apply also in other area. For example, I see now the emergence of a lot of young entrepreneurs in Cambodia, and we're gonna have a stock market. We have a stock market. It's not listed yet, but we should have listing very soon this year. We have all this business who is looking to grow. Now, they've been growing on their own as mom and pop. They're doing well, but as business get more sophisticated, and this is where I see the value of having this international best practice to back up, to come and advise them, to say, look, when a multinational or a company from the region come and looking to do business with you, these are a certain minimum standard that you guys have to get in place. Your accounting, your bookkeeping, your board directorship, your board resolution, all these things we can share. And we should be able to use this as sort of like an opportunity to help build the real sector, which is the businesses.
Correct, because we know we have experienced that
Yes.
when we were on the same condition.
Yes.
At that time, we were asked,
Yes.
by the foreign investor.
Yes.
You have to be transparent. There
Yes.
should be a good corporate governance.
Yes.
You need to have a best practice.
Yes.
No conflict of interest.
Yes.
And we have been learning about it.
Yes.
And now we know about it.
Yes.
And we can share it.
Yes.
Because we have experienced the same condition that you experienced.
Yes. Well, Anangga, like I told you in the car, 30 minutes will fly so fast, and it's almost flown, right? So anyway, we're coming to the end of the show, and let me just say on behalf of the audience and the studio how thankful we are for you on short notice to come and again sharing the experience of a fellow, ASEAN, an Indonesian, but foremost an ASEAN citizen, an ASEAN law firm, an ASEAN practitioner, to in this case, an ASEAN Cambodian. Right?
Yeah,
So
because
thank you.
we have to think ASEAN
Yes,
now.
that's it. We're ASEAN. So
Thank
thank you
you
so much. Yes. Well, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, we had a short exchange, but the gist of this whole exchange is all about sharing. Indonesia is a country that have come a long way, and who is now part of the G20. The top 20 country in the world who is well respected, and Anangga is a very successful, lawyer, a very successful businessman in his own right, in his own country, and yet he is already speaking as an ASEAN. And we Cambodian also should start thinking about not just Cambodian, we are an ASEAN citizen. We have to look opportunity not just within Cambodian border, but within ASEAN border. And this is where I see the exciting next few years, that we are building, our society to be an ASEAN society, and where opportunity will arise for all of us who are ready and prepared to accept that eventuality. So on that note, I hope you learned something out of it. But remember, this year Cambodia chair the ASEAN, and we're gonna have a lot of brother and sister from ASEAN who come to share with us, with the Cambodian, their experience, their success, and also their motivation, how to make this region a successful region. So on that note, I say good night, and I see you next week.